2019 with Bloomberg Quint.
In 2014, India saw its highest voter turnout of 66%. This time, in the first 5 phases alone, the average voter turnout has been even higher at 68.6% compared to 67.3% for the same constituencies in 2014. Thanks for joining us. I'm Harsha Subramaniam. The question we are asking today, does a higher voter turnout mean anti-incumbency? Or will it help the BJP? To discuss that, I'm joined by Neelanjan Sircar, political scientist and professor at Ashoka University, who's written an interesting article on this topic in India Today. One disclaimer, we are discussing this only with the data for the first 5 phases. Remember, 6 phases are done and just 1 more to go. Neelanjan, thank you so much indeed for joining us today. Now, you make a very interesting comparison between the turnout data between 2019 and 2014. Firstly, let's set the context. What is the data set that you have considered and why?
So I've looked at all of the data in 2014 is official. So we have the actual turnout by constituency. In 2019, we have data from the Election Commission that's provisional. So they're constantly updating the data, and until we actually have the final election results with the total number of electors, the data will not be certified in terms of turnout. But at least in terms of provisionally the data that we can trust. So the reason why phase 6 is not included, even though it's already been conducted, is that those data points are still being firmed up. In this year, we've had a lot of upward revision ex post in turnout. So we really can't trust the phase 6 numbers just yet. But the first 5 phases should not move around too much. Okay, so Neelanjan, tell us, what is the inference that you're drawing? A higher voter turnout traditionally has meant anti-incumbency, but it's not such a straightforward conclusion, is it? It's not. And, one sort of caveat I'd like to make here is that it's not the aggregate level of turnout. Often people look at the national level of turnout and try to draw inferences. What it is at the constituency level, when turnout increases from the previous election, there's an association with anti-incumbency, typically. Now, the reason why it's complicated is that in 2014, most people, BJP insiders will tell you that the real innovation of the Modi-Shah combo is that they organizationally created a way of mobilizing voters in a way that had never been done before. So it could be that a boost in turnout this time is associated with just stronger BJP organization, or it could be the sort of standard trend that we've seen, which is that when turnout is increasing at the constituency level, it's anti-incumbency. Okay, so what do you think are the factors that led to a higher turnout in 2014? Where did you observe these patterns? My question is that contained only to specific states? Is it in largely in rural areas? So the urban-rural analysis is not clear in terms of turnout, but let me sort of give it to you statewide. So it is incredibly geographically concentrated. So if I give you 6 states in India, Bihar, UP, Madhya Pradesh, Rajasthan, Maharashtra, Gujarat, here the BJP won 70% of their seats, and they had a strike rate of over 90%, which means they won more than 90% of the seats they contested. Now, these are also, if I take the 15 largest states in India, they're the lowest turnout states in India. And each of them saw almost double-digit increases in turnout over 2009 in 2014. So that is what we think of as the Modi wave, right? The Modi wave effect was huge increases in turnout. That is consistent with anti-incumbency in a core set of states where the BJP got the vast majority of its seats. If I take the higher turnout states in India, so if I give you 5 more states, right? I give you West Bengal, Orissa, Andhra Pradesh, at that time undivided, Tamil Nadu, and Kerala. Those are states in which the BJP only had a strike rate of 7%. And there we didn't see much of an increase in turnout at all over 2009 and 2014. So there's a very strong association in terms of where the turnout happened and where the BJP won.
Okay, so here is the data point in your article that I found most fascinating. In 2014, you say that the BJP won 61% of 77 constituencies, which saw more than 3% increase in turnout. Now, if we see a similar pattern this time, the BJP could argue that they've gotten better at mobilizing voters in the rural areas. I mean, that's an argument that will hold water. What do you sort of infer from this?
So look, it's sort of sharpening the argument a little bit, right? In this article, what I sort of show is that using satellite imagery, because it's very hard to determine what is actually urban and what is actually rural, that the increase in turnout that we are seeing at the constituency level this time is associated with constituencies in which the BJP is already ruling, where the BJP is incumbent. Now, among those, what is driving the increase in turnout is rural constituencies that the BJP is already ruling. So one could interpret that as anti-incumbency among farmers, where the BJP is ruling. Or one can interpret that as that's precisely where the BJP organization is the strongest and most effective. And that's why in BJP-controlled areas, in rural areas, that's where the BJP is really getting out. And we'll have to wait until the 23rd to figure out which one of these two stories it is.
Okay, I have one final question, Neelanjan, and do you see any outliers? As in, are there unexplained sharp increase in some states where voter turnout is inexplicable, or do you think it's general and across the board?
Well, the one state that I think every one of us analysts is looking at is Madhya Pradesh. Madhya Pradesh is an interesting state electorally anyway. It is a state at the state level that the BJP had controlled for a very long time, but they just lost in December 2018. It is also a state that is seeing double-digit increases in turnout. And as I argued earlier, it's historically been a low turnout state. So if these kinds of numbers hold in the future, Madhya Pradesh becomes a high turnout state. That's the sort of level of increase that we're seeing. And we are seeing that increase in rural areas. So the question again is has the game changed in terms of the organization of getting voters out in a place like Madhya Pradesh, or are we seeing some kind of very large level of anti-incumbency? And again, that's something we won't know until we see the final results.
Neelanjan Sircar, many thanks indeed for joining us with that perspective, a fascinating data analysis and its implications. Let's wait till the 23rd of May for what really happens. If you have been, thank you so much for watching.
Thank you.